Chapter 22. After hurriedly making myself a sandwich, choking it down with some water, I gave Mother and Hannah quick hugs. I brushed my teeth, then changed into nice clothes. I combed my hair into what I hoped was a presentable state, then made a mental note to check it in the bathroom mirror upon arriving at the Morrill house. After I felt as ready as I could be, and as nervous as I had ever felt in my life, I rode my bicycle to their house, parking it next to the fence in front. I climbed their steps and rang their doorbell, still not fully comfortable with letting myself in, as Mrs. Morrill had encouraged me to do on more than one occasion. A distant set of chapel bells began striking noon just as the door opened. Upon seeing Colette on the threshold, a jolt of warmth coursed through my body and quickened my pulse.
Corban!
She greeted me with a hug, warmer and longer than any previously offered. After overcoming the initial shock, I awkwardly put my arms around her upper back and became quite aware of the sublime sensation of her body pressed up against mine. Just as quickly, she let go and kissed me on each cheek. I jumped back a step in response and nearly tripped down the stairs before regaining control. I could feel myself blushing in embarrassment at my own awkwardness. Her knowing smile, as if she knew exactly how she was affecting me, and was proud of it, only caused my blush to deepen even more. Finally, she stepped back to let me enter.
Colette, hi.
Honestly, I was surprised to even be able to form words. My brain buffeted by waves of surprise, embarrassment, and what I can only describe as desire. My head was clear enough to put a few more words together, as I barely remembered slipping off my shoes.
How are you today?
We're doing very well, thank you. Everyone is busy getting ready for tonight. Are you ready to help?
Yes, I need to use the bathroom first.
Of course. I'll be in the kitchen with Mama whenever you're ready to join us.
She looked at me just long enough to enrapture me with her sparkling sea-green eyes, golden hair and beautiful smile, before leaving me in the entryway. After I recovered sufficiently from the startling, if pleasurable encounter, I proceeded to the bathroom. Not wanting to be absent for too long, I made quick work of fixing my slightly windswept hair. I smirked as I recalled Father's attempts over the past few months at getting Mother to cut my hair, all in vain. This small act of rebellion, as he had once referred to it when he thought I wasn't listening, had grown steadily more difficult to continue as the summer grew hotter. As I regarded myself in the mirror, I thought about what it must have looked like when Colette kissed me.
They've shared kisses like that among their family, but I've never dared to expect to receive one myself. And from Colette, no less. Fantasized about it, yes, but never have I honestly expected it would happen.
When I finally left the bathroom, Henri was sitting on the large couch in the living room.
Hey, Corban, how are the trees doing?
His question was accompanied with a self-satisfied smirk, scoffing at my continued observations of the growing trees. I ignored the hint of arrogance.
They're doing well. All of the trees continue to grow, if slowly, the willow at the edge of the river slightly more than the rest. And I think I've sampled enough oranges to support my hypothesis that they're sweetest at the end of the wet season.
As I approached the door to the kitchen, he called out after me.
Well, I still think it's a huge waste of time.
I ignored his comment, intent on rejoining Colette. Over the next few hours, chopping vegetables, feeding fire, and mixing bread dough were only some of the ways I made myself useful. Over the last year, I had learned and observed much on the subject of cooking. I had gradually become more involved in the process of cooking paella, as Mrs. Morrill had cooked it no less than 3 times over the past year. As a result, Mrs. Morrill had decreed I would be chiefly in charge of preparing the dish for La Toussaint. She did provide a copy of the recipe for me to refer to, but she had decided not to give any direct assistance. Its failure or success would depend entirely upon me. She also pointed out that it wouldn't truly be a failure if I learned from my mistakes, but that didn't do much to reduce my anxiety over the matter. As I reread the recipe for the 5th time that afternoon, confidence and worry warred within me so fiercely that I didn't even notice Colette observing me.
So, how's it going? Nervous?
I jumped a bit, but then quickly chuckled in response to cover up my initial surprise.
Of course I'm nervous. I'm responsible for one of the main parts of the meal. Me, just me, who's barely cooked anything on my own.
She smiled encouragingly.
It's okay to be nervous. I was nervous as well my first time.
Your first time?
Yes, I think I was 9, maybe 10 years old. Of course, I had been involved in the process every year for as long as I can remember. But even so, I messed up pretty badly. I couldn't help but stir the rice as it cooked, fearing it would burn if I didn't. Even though it tasted decent, it ended up all mushy. It's a common mistake, though, stirring the rice. It's instinctive. I mean, who wouldn't stir food to keep it from sticking to the skillet and burning?
I laughed, feeling much of my anxiety melt away.
You mean you did that well at 10 years old? I probably would have burned a hole in the skillet if I had tried 4 years ago. At least now I know some about cooking. Real food.
She placed her hand atop mine, where it sat on the counter next to the recipe book. Hers felt slightly warmer than mine, soft and comforting. After a few moments, she removed it and gave me another reassuring smile.
I have faith in you, Corban. You will do well. You've had good training, the best. And I know how much you want to impress your family. We all do.
Outside, the bells announced 4th hour. Colette walked out the door leading to the back courtyard. It was time. I took a deep breath and read through the recipe once more, making sure I had the whole process down. I didn't want to interrupt anything to check the recipe while I was cooking. I gathered all of the ingredients, grouping them based on when I would need them: chicken, prawns, vegetables, spices, rice and broth. I had already chopped the vegetables and fresh spices, so all that remained was cutting the chicken into bite-sized pieces. After that was finished, I turned on the stove, placed the skillet on the burner, and added a good amount of olive oil. First came the chicken, followed by the spices, including the all-important sprigs of saffron, of course. After reducing a fair amount of white wine, I added the vegetables to cook for a few minutes, followed by the rice, sautéing and stirring both for some time before finally pouring in the broth. Remembering Colette's advice, I didn't stir, but instead gently shook up the skillet a few times to make sure everything was covered by broth and cooking evenly. While it was cooking, I took care of washing the cutting board and knife, as well as returning the spices to their cabinet. Then I added the peas and prawns to the skillet and shook it gently, just enough to ensure the new additions were sufficiently embedded in the paella. Some time later, when all of the broth had been absorbed, I used a small spoon to check some of the rice at the top. It was cooked through, if still a bit firm. I turned off the stove, half-covered the skillet with its lid, and walked over to the window above the sink. Outside, Colette and her mother were in the courtyard, tending to the lamb. Surprisingly, they were arguing, both faces flushed.
It's just not something that's done, Colette. Anyway, he wouldn't even—
Mrs. Morrill broke off as I approached. As their chests heaved from the exertion and frustration of the argument, I surveyed their efforts. They had dug a pit, built a fire in it, and constructed a spit above it, upon which turned the lamb shank. From the near-empty bowls beside the pit, I gathered they had been seasoning the lamb with spices and broths as it cooked. After watching Colette turn the lamb a few turns, I announced uncertainly,
The paella is done, I think.
Madame Morel turned to face me.
Very good. The bread is done and keeping warm, and the lamb is nearly finished as well. We'll place it in the oven to stay warm for dinner. I'm sure it's nearly time for your family to arrive. It might be best if you are ready to receive them.
Her suggestion wasn't quite a suggestion.
Of course, I'll finish cleaning up and then go wait by the door.
And once they arrive, you can all make yourselves comfortable in the living room.
I was about to protest when she added,
I'll let you know how you can be of further help.
Madame Morel urged me with a strained smile, and as Colette continued turning the spit, she caught my gaze, silently urging me to comply with her mother's wishes. I returned to the kitchen, ensured everything I had used was how and where it should be, then went to the living room. Somehow, I wasn't surprised to find Marie colouring at the coffee table and Louis reading in his chair. It was as if they all had a routine for welcoming guests into their home, a routine to which I had been included for the evening.